So this is something incredible. I think it's not even possible in our nature with the physics that we have on the Earth planet. But look at this. This is their car on the roof. The top of the house I want to emphasize, so which means this car was standing like over there. There's a parking like 20-30 meters from here, and there was an airstrike, and there were direct bombing to there, and there was a lot of explosion, and the car just was blown, and it flew to the air and how to say it, fell down like here, and the car just and the car was blown up, and it was flying from the air, and here it is still. So there's been already more than 4 years, and it is still here because it's not possible to take it away from here, so no one cares.
It's the People Project. Today I will show you how people live in a city that was almost wiped off the face of the earth by the Islamic State, a major terrorist organization.
Almost every house is just bombs.
I'll walk you through the underground passages that were used by terrorists. I'll show you the basements where they set up their hospitals and take you to the city's tallest building that served at the time as the terrorists' headquarters. I will show you the mosque where the ISIS caliphate declared and introduced you to the many wonderful people of Mosul who are now readjusting to peaceful life after 3 years of unimaginable hell. Not so long ago, this city had dozens or even hundreds of bombs dropped on it daily. Dozens of reporters were killed here in combat. Now, it's coming back to life.
My name is Anton Lyadov, and today I'm visiting the former capital of Islamic State. This is the city of Mosul. So it's been a long time that almost second or third building in the city looked like this. And now the city and the people are moving forward, and it deserves a lot of respect. But still, when you look at those 9-10 floor buildings which are just damaged like till rocks, it's something unbelievable.
Yet right now, despite all the attempts by the terrorists to keep the city as their stronghold, the people of Mosul are getting their peaceful life back.
My name is Anton Lyadov, and it's How People Live from Mosul. Hello guys, it's me, Anton. Although it was one of the hardest trips in my life, because really some of the moments in Iraq were super scary, I still tried to speak to you in English directly, and I'm sorry in advance for my English. It's not my native language, as you've already probably understood, but so sometimes I forget the words, sometimes I say some bullshit, sometimes there's pronunciation problems. Anyway, I try my best, and I'm gonna tell you thank you for the fact that you're still following me for a long time. And if you want to support me, I would really appreciate this, because YouTube, it's blocked the monetization for Russian bloggers from the Russian viewers. I understand it has their own purposes. I fully respect this, but it means that we lost a big part of our income. And if you want to support me, here is my Patreon link in the description. Please go and donate right now. This will really help me to create new videos, to go to some more countries and make more reportings. And now let's get back to Iraq.
One fighter provides cover while the other two are trying to break out. From the left, fire keeps coming from an ISIS gunman, and there's nowhere to hide. This is Mosul, and this is urban warfare, the hardest possible way to fight a war. Windows, rooftops, doorways, cracks, and gaps in the walls, all of them provide cover to enemy combatants shooting right at you.
There is not one even building in which it's possible to live. It's extremely hard to imagine, and this is how it looks at the moment.
These fighters have an assignment to surround the building and cut off the terrorists from their supply line. In this war, no one spares ammo. Lots of shots are fired. Check out this guy. He fires from behind the cover without even looking. The most amazing thing is that civilian families stayed and lived through all of this. For example, this little girl lives with her family here. Over there, there's an old man. He also lives here. What blows my mind is that you're walking the stairs and then they're all just a heap of rubble. It's like a symbol of what happened to Mosul. Its entire life was suddenly bombed into rubble, like this street. Look at these ruined buildings. Some of them hundreds of years old. Because Mosul is a very old city. And now they lie in ruins. The fighters found cover in a house that got immediately surrounded by the terrorists. They're safe inside so far, but the enemy force outside is so strong that they can't get out. Fire comes in from all directions. Look, you can even see one of the ISIS fighters leaving his cover to check out the positions where the camera caught him. A bearded man with a turban on his head and a gun in his hand is doing the reckoning. The terrorists are circling in. There is a cameraman here with the Iraqi soldiers. He's filming the action using two cameras, one handheld and the other on his helmet. His name is Morteza al-Musawi. He's no soldier, although he looks like one. He is a professional photographer. He got trapped in that house together with his detail. They spotted us and surrounded the house we were in. Our reinforcements were trying to clear the path for us to leave, so we could get out of there and move to another place and cut off the ISIS from their supplies. That's the fire we were sustaining. They tried to take out our combat vehicles with an RPG-7. Just listen to the sound of it. Shooting never stops, not even for a minute, but the soldiers seem to be okay. One is playing a game on his phone and another is sleeping. For real, just hear him snore. A few minutes later, the detail receives a message they've been cleared to leave. They go downstairs, calm and focused, but the enemy fire outside seems to be getting stronger. They spread around to watch all the windows to make sure no terrorists break in a surprise attack, reporting to each other via comm. I have no visual on you. Incoming fire from all directions. Do you have a visual on us? Positive, we've got eyes on you. Approach the house number 3. Can you see me signaling with my hand? You see it? Follow my signal. There's fire everywhere. They finally made contact and planned the exit strategy. The problem is that the terrorists can listen in to the frequencies that they're using. Now they're waiting for the rescue vehicle to pick them up. To leave the house means to lose their cover. That's when cameraman Morteza realized they couldn't wait anymore. He told them to go, but the soldiers didn't move. Then Morteza started shouting, "It's now or never that we're leaving this place. We need to run now, alive." This is his footage.
We boarded the Humvee, and the ISIS fighters took a position right in front of us. One told the other, "Spare no ammo." They were waiting for a better moment to start shooting. They're about half a click away. The Humvee drove them out from under fire. Then they had to go on foot. At some point, Morteza and 3 others got behind their group and took cover in some house and got trapped again. They were out of ammo. All they could do
was just sit and wait. What you hear on the recording is the enemy fire real close to us. We had learned to know the friendly fire from enemy fire by the sound of it.
And this is for
Yes, it was incoming fire. Look at Morteza's eyes. This is the look I know. I've seen it in my own eyes when I was trapped in a trench under cannon fire in Nagorno-Karabakh. That was the moment Morteza was saying goodbye to his family forever. He was thinking of maybe leaving them a message on camera in case someone might find his camera and deliver the SD card for his kids to watch. You can hear the sound of fire, that they were close and targeting us.
A bullet very close. That they started shooting through the window.
Then I thought it's just stupid to be recording my own death, so I turned off the camera.
So this is probably one of the most quoted mosques in the world, the mosque named Al-Nuri. The thing is that right here, the ISIS were born. So how it happened? Just easily, because this guy whose name was Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, he just came here and he talked to the people. So this square, this place was just full of people. And they said like, guys, we're pronouncing, so we're saying that there is now world caliphate and we are going to take over the world.
In order to understand why the Islamic State's preaching reached so many people, let's take a brief look at the local history. Iraq is predominantly Muslim, split into two distinct sects, with about 60% Shia Muslims and about 30% Sunni Muslims. Overall, both Shia and Sunni Muslims cohabitate peacefully for centuries. But as it happens, every now and then, some radical zealots can reduce everything to absurdity and push aggressively for a conflict and even a war. So it happened that the majority of positions of power in Iraq were held mostly by the Shia Muslims that represented the country's religious majority. The Sunni Muslims have felt embittered over lack of career opportunity, and the Islamic State exploited that, used their frustration to its own advantage. They started telling people that Sunnis deserved more, and many followed them, at least at the start of the war.
And make the world the Sharia law of the country. That's how it happened. And in the beginning, the Daesh didn't behave themselves like crazy guys. In the beginning, I mean like in the first hours of pronouncing, because right after that, it started that the people who were anyway connected to the government, they were shot dozens, they were thrown to the rivers, and all the crazy things started. Something unbelievable.
They're not human, they're monsters. The Islamic State was a threat to the civilian population. At the start, they only targeted the Shiite sanctuaries, but now they're a threat to everyone. Their car bombs kill everyone, be it Christians, Sunnis, Kurds, Shiites, or anyone else. A bomb knows no difference between a Sunni or a Shia. We saw that they threatened to all people, not just to some holy places. You might have heard about Iraq's Rambo, perhaps the most renowned soldier in Iraq's popular mobilization forces. They were fighting ISIS. His nicknames are Abu Azrael and Angel of Death, referring to the deaths he brought to ISIS. This is the first ever interview to anyone from Russia. He talked to us in his home, where he lives an ordinary and peaceful life. Well, almost ordinary. He keeps an assault rifle with 2 rounds of ammo, not far away from the drinks on the serving table, just in case. The surveillance system is always on and monitors every movement around his house. At one point, they hung a number of Iraqi soldiers, about 16 of them, making them into a kind of Shia graveyard display, and they left them hanging there for 6 months. Can you imagine how much they swelled with all the heat from the sun and the cold at night? What can all that do to a human body? So the ISIS hung them there and took photos of them to tell those who dare come here what graves they would find here. The ISIS are monsters, but we are not afraid of them. Our light repels their dark. We fight for our idea. We fight to protect our homeland and the Iraqi people of all creeds. We have our faith and our holy teaching, but the ISIS also has an idea, and let's be honest about it. The fact that terrorists come here from all continents to join the Islamic State is solid proof of that. I can acknowledge my adversary's strengths and respect that. My adversary has a teaching, and they have come to give one hell of a fight, but we are tougher. When the terrorists under the black flag started their offensive, it took them 6 days to take over Mosul, Iraq's second largest city. TV channels around the world were breaking the news, with reports coming in about how they attacked military posts, police stations, how they cut off power, how they entered banks and emptied their vault, how they took over prisons and let all the criminals run loose in order to create even more chaos on the streets. Wherever you look around here, you see ruins and debris, like this car or that house.
This is how Mosul looks. This is the normal view of the Mosul. I mean, like in this yard, almost every house is just bombed. So there was...
Just imagine how many walls must have been bombed to have these endless heaps of reinforced steel that once inside those walls now pile up everywhere. Look at this deformed bike on a balcony of a ruined building, covered in thick dust. Once the terrorists entered the city, their top priority was securing its tallest building, this hospital.
So now I'm just on the top of the famous hospital in Mosul. It's like the 10th floor, and it looks like I'm on the top of Chernobyl at the moment. Look at this, I'm forgetting all the English words. I'm sorry guys at the moment, but this is something ridiculous, unbelievable.
That's small hole for the sniper.
Okay.
Can you come with me?
Sure.
This huge water tank with a big hole in it was used to store drinking water. This place looks now like it's fresh after World War II. In some places, it doesn't feel safe to even approach the windows because the walls seem to be about to crumble at any moment. I was assigned a security detail to accompany me on site because the building hasn't been entirely swept for landmines. Before, they say, explosives were everywhere. They have some photographs on the walls showing what the terrorists left behind. A lot of explosive devices.
It's just so ridiculous when you look at this marvelous, I would say, nature of Iraq, and that you cannot understand how all this could happen here.
The surrounding buildings look as if they weren't made of steel and concrete, but of wet cardboard and just folded in. Here, for example, the 10th floor fell through onto the 9th floor.
This part of the roof has been broken. The roof has fallen. I will not go further. I think it's a little dangerous here. And
here, the roof simply collapsed. I'm not going to go near for fear of falling through too, as I weigh enough. This hole was left by something really large, an air-to-surface bomb, no doubt, as they were trying to make the terrorists leave by bombing them. Half the wall is gone.
The thing is that it was the most important strategic height. So according to any war rule, so the one who gets higher, he can target more people, more technique and so on.
The terrorists also took control of TV stations and ran their own broadcasts. They tried to establish control over all possible means of communication in order to keep pushing their propaganda to the entire population. They also had a radio station. It was in this building. They kept a car bomb parked next to it and were ready to blow it up if anyone attacked them. In the end, it blew up when the building was bombed. This is Gadir Ibrahim. He's a construction worker and a long-time resident of this old neighborhood in Mosul. He was here when the Islamic State entered the city and witnessed how they made use of the city's infrastructure for their own purposes. In this building, they set up a shop to make car bombs and explosive belts. Also, they used power generators from this shop to supply electricity to the houses they occupied for themselves. In that building, they set up a post and maintained mortar fire from its targeting on the other side. Gadir lives in the building opposite the one with the car on the rooftop that you saw at the beginning of this film. Did ISIS people come to your home? Yes, they wanted to take it from me. But when they came and saw that we were two families living there, and that we weren't hiding in the basement, but were living in the rooms upstairs, they decided it wasn't good for their families. Yes, you heard it right. The ISIS fighters often had their families accompanying them wherever they went. That's how serious their plans were, and they were very particular about the places they chose for them to stay in. This is the basement where fighters live with their families. There were a total of about 20 or 27 people there. When the government troops entered the city, they were all extracted, but many were wounded. The terrorists were even more picky about the places they chose for their wounded combatants.
So these are the areas of the old city of Mosul, and so for example right here, as the local told me, so there was a hospital for ISIS members. This is the place, for example, you would never mention, you would never pay attention to, for example, if you're a stranger in the street in this area. So look at this. This is the really good place to hide. So, and right here they were laying down the ISIS members, and look at this. So here's this thing that I don't know this word for in English, sorry guys, but this is something that is we always use in the medical hospitals, so that it goes to your hand and so on to make blood.
I meant to say an IV line. That's right, the fighters got their IV therapy right here.
And the thing is, this is a very good place to hide because under you, or there are around 3 or 4 floors, and even if the air bomb comes, so you are still safe here.
In here, they had hospital beds. When we went in, we found lots of large bags of unused drugs and pharmaceuticals.
Does he know how many people
It was their last hiding place. When the army's vehicles approached this place, then they started to retreat. This place was where they took the hardest hit and tried to escape to the main square. They had their beds here and stored all their meds in there, and their papers. They left their books behind. Yes, they did. Ghadir stayed here all those long months of the battle. Ghadir stayed here for all those long months of the battle for Mosul. We lived in constant fear. They came to our homes. The army's aircraft were dropping bombs on them, and the terrorists went to people's houses to target aeroplanes from their rooftops. They were engaging the enemy right from people's homes. The ISIS fighters came to people's homes. They came and stayed in our homes. If anyone tried to object, they took them to their command post and beat them up, or they killed them. Some residents of this neighborhood tried to resist, but they failed. Some people were murdered because they were protesting against what the ISIS were doing. This was their tactic, to move into a densely populated area every time an air raid began. They were forcing the army to make the hard choice, to bomb and risk killing innocent civilians, or not to bomb at all. At the start, both the Iraqi army, the Popular Mobilization Forces, and the international coalition had such a hard time coordinating their attacks that the loss of life was tremendous. Even Iraqi's Rambo, despite being a real Iron Man with muscles of steel, was scared for his life when he got surrounded by terrorists. When we got trapped in one of the neighborhoods, I got scared because I have 4 daughters. When the terrorists surrounded my group, I called my family and told them I was going to die. When it happened, there are some things that are hard for me to talk about. So when it happened, we were running out of ammo. I saw a fighter with a scarf on his face driving a Nissan with the ISIS emblem coming our way to finish us off. We kept firing back from time to time, trying to trick them into thinking that we've got ammo. The truth was we didn't. There were 3 of us, 2 of my friends and I, and one of them died a martyr's death. If you saw it, you would have been horrified. I called my family and I told them to sell the car, since I might not get out of this entrapment alive. We are all God's children, and our final journey to God is inevitable. My family wept and disconnected. After that, I called my brother, Abu Muntazir Yunus, and asked him to take care of my daughters. I hung up and I said my prayers. When Morteza and his detail got surrounded by the ISIS fighters in a house, he thought his life was about to end. They managed to board the Humvee, but after that they had no clue how they were going to get out alive. The Humvee got really close and everyone jumped into the back. The cover was provided by 2 vehicles. One was an armoured bulldozer, and I had no idea they even existed. It turns out a bulldozer was needed to clear the road from debris for all the other vehicles. The other one was equipped with an MK-19 machine gun, a super powerful weapon, capable of taking down aircraft within a mile's range. On the downside, it's a pretty slow weapon. In urban warfare, when distances are short and everyone is on the move, locking the target and hitting it while it's there is the biggest challenge. You might wonder why the carpet is on top. to protect from overheating in the sun. The temperature in Iraq during summer can exceed 50 degrees Celsius, which equals 122 degrees Fahrenheit. The gunmen's mission was to breach the wall behind the ISIS fighters, where they were hiding, and to make them look for cover while the friendlies break out. After that, we took cover in another house on the corner. The troops were expected to move in from here, and we were to support with fire from the windows. This was me taking a run to get in position. This soldier, he's already gone, was securing the perimeter. While Morteza was out there, these two kids were waiting for him at home. They never got used to father's frequent trips to the war, so on those rare occasions when he was home, they were always around. Here, the little one is sleeping next to his dad, who is patting him on the back. Morteza had served as a cameraman documenting the war for 3 long years, and almost as long as it lasted. Always out there with the soldiers. He says he could have died at least 6 times. Once I entered some place and stepped on something and froze, and it exploded. I don't know how I got out and survived. I was knocked out and injured in the face and arms. The explosive device was planted into the ground in one of the streets. They make these IEDs we call rosary. They connect a number of wires like this, and when you step on it, the circuit is closed and it goes off.
So he stepped on one of the wires.
Yes, I stepped right on it. And it hit me on my left side, in the arm and in the face. He didn't pass out right away, and it actually made it even scarier. I saw the cloud of dust and heard the explosion. I thought I died, or was about to die. I tried to feel my body to figure out if I'd lost an arm or a leg. This is the area that was impacted. The guys told me I was lucky because right before me, they saw another explosion that destroyed an armoured fighting vehicle's caterpillars. The other time, his team were less lucky. This is Morteza's friend hugging him, as if for the last time. Unfortunately, it was their last hug indeed. They both went to film a place that had a mortar. It was a muzzle-loaded weapon. You drop a mortar round, it hits the firing pin, that fires the round. There were 6 or 7 people there, including his friend Hamza. I took this photo less than a minute before the explosion. I was standing over there. This guy who asked me to take a selfie saved my life. I took a few steps away and got out of the immediate blast range. If I didn't, I would have been wounded in my chest or somewhere else in my body.
هذا؟
ايه
والله فيديوهات بذكرك
I tried to crawl to him, but couldn't move. I realized I was paralyzed. Watching this footage is so painful for losing my friends.
بين فترة وفترة الحرب ما تبقى واحد.
I don't mind the physical wounds, they're okay.
أزحف عليه بس ما قدرت يعني حسيت بشلل بجسمي.
It feels so painful that all my friends are gone because of this war, and no one is around. My friend's death was a shock to me. We were very close. We worked together shooting the same events from different angles. But then the explosion took his life. This is me. I realized I was paralyzed because I was wounded in my spine. Surrounded by the enemy, Iraqi's Rambo, Abu Azrael, was also getting ready to die when one of his fellow combatants saw a friendly aircraft in the air. One of us had a handheld aviation airband transceiver and tried to connect to that plane, which was flying from Mosul to Tuz Kurmata. He asked, "Do you copy?" And they replied, "Positive, I copy you, over." We told them that these were our destroyed Humvees burning on the ground and asked them to bomb this sector because we're surrounded and will die by the ISIS hands without cover. They said they were out of bombs, and we asked them to fire from a machine gun, but they said they were all out of ammo. We pleaded, "Brother, please, they'll kill us. Could you at least drop a bomb on us and we could die with honor? If you can bomb the ISIS, please do so. They have helicopter support." But they didn't drop any bombs. They came in over us, real low twice. And that made the ISIS on the ground think the plane was going to bomb the sector. So thanks to the fact that they saw the plane targeting this area twice, they decided it would be safer to retreat quickly. The ISIS came to this man's house right after the start of the war. Do you see all these marks on the wall? That's because the Iraqi army was trying to get the terrorists hiding inside. We're now in Ramadi. We slept through the night and woke up before sunrise to the sounds of fire and explosions, somewhere close to the main square. And then the sounds were getting closer and closer. The army was retreating from Ramadi, together with the police and security forces. They were pulling back, leaving here only the civilians and the Islamic State.
And does he know what did they do in their house?
Nothing special. But if anyone living in the house was with the police or security forces, they confiscated the house and registered it as their own. How did people live here with ISIS here? Many families couldn't leave because they didn't have enough money, so they had to stay and live here with the ISIS. Are there many families like this here? Yes, there are many families here that were forced to live under the ISIS occupation because they couldn't leave the area. When the army came together with the mobilization forces and the US-led coalition, the ISIS retreated, and locals were forced to retreat too, as they were trying to get out from underneath the fire. Did you hear that? When the ISIS retreated, they took local families with them as a human shield. Women were probably those who suffered the most from all of this, especially those who lost their husbands. Here is Maida, and she had a hard time trying not to cry during the interview. She hasn't seen her husband ever since he left in order to break out of the city, occupied by the Islamic State. She's faithful to him and doesn't let anyone touch her except another woman. We asked a woman with a beautiful name, Kausar, to fix a mic for her. Kausar started up an organization that helps Iraqi women after the war. She cried all the way through Maida's testimony.
Many women committed a suicide. They have nothing left in their lives, and they don't want to go on living because they had lost everything.
What saved many people's life was getting wounded or injured. The ISIS just left people such as this in the rubble.
The ISIS were here. They were everywhere, searching the houses.
Let me help you. Remove this. Do you feel your foot?
No, I don't.
Say Allah. Don't be scared.
Ah, my back. Please be careful.
You're okay. You're okay. Be careful with her foot. Go, go. This family is yet another ISIS victim. Is there anyone else? Remember him? It's Morteza, the cameraman, helping people get out from underneath the rubble in Mosul. It was only once that he had to take up a gun instead of a camera. There were 4 of us in one house, and we had to leave it. They gave me an assault rifle, an American M4 picked up off a dead fighter. He really hoped he wouldn't have to use it. Suddenly, someone appeared in front of me, very close, just about 15 steps away. And I shot him. Later, we found out it was a terrorist from Morocco. He was wearing an explosive belt, and I captured this on camera. So this was the only man that I killed. I was forced to shoot a gun to protect myself. Different sources assess the loss of civilian life during the Battle of Mosul between 9,000 and 12,000 people. This man who sells watermelons is called Wat, and he lived not far from an ISIS command post during the battle. They could enter and leave our houses whenever they liked. Sometimes they ordered us to leave the houses and fight with them as reinforcements. Did they come to your house? Yes.
What did they do?
What did they do? They used our rooftop to maintain fire on air targets. They didn't care that there were families in the houses. Those who disobeyed the terrorists were often tortured. The terrorists could stop any man in the street and force him to take a gun and fight for them. So men were scared to even go out. Where were you during the fighting?
Which house?
I stayed inside the house. I couldn't leave. Where is your house? In this area.
So, okay.
Can you describe what was it like?
شلون كان الوضع بهذاك الوقت؟
It was very hard. No food, no water. We were starving. We drank rainwater. People were very weak. People buried their dead inside the house, not to go outside. They couldn't even take the wounded to hospital. The same happened to Gadir, whose family was hiding inside the house. What did you eat? First, we had some supplies, and we tried to ration our food. In the end, only wheat was left. Food prices were through the roof. I remember paying 80,000 dinars for butter, 20,000 for 2 pounds of flour, 8,000 dinars for a carton of juice. Once I had to buy a pack of milk for my son for 90,000 dinar. And where did you buy the food? First, we tried to eat little to last on to what we had. Then the ISIS opened up a market and we bought food from them. As time went, the Islamic State were opening not only markets, but also its own mosques, offices, and even a university. Taking control of the university was important for the Islamic State because, obviously, if you control young minds, you control everything. Once they took over, they revised the curriculum. They banned philosophy. They also banned literature classes. They turned the PE classes into some sort of patriotic training for extremists, and so on and so forth. They also instituted a vice police force. Basically, all these things they were doing here were completely insane. The University of Mosul is more than just a school. It's a number of very strong buildings that can be used as fortifications.
So this was the most important building of IS. So this is the university, how it looks. And this was not just one building, so they used all of the buildings of different faculties, laboratories. And the BBC and Euronews said that they were doing the tests about launching their chemical weapon. So it's something ridiculous when you look at this and you understand that there's huge amount of buildings which was built by Iraqi government and built for education of people, how they turned out to become a very well-equipped, very well-prepared.
Our military convoy spent half a day telling us we can't go inside because of the mine threat. But finally, we got the green light to accompany us into the building.
You can see these holes in the walls. This is the strategy of them, so not to hide, not to show themselves, not to let some people target them from outside. So they just bombed the walls and they ran through from one room to another. And moreover, a lot of them were also based underground. So here's the hole, for example, which leads to their channels. And there's there are a lot of channels under the ground where they also were hiding themselves.
Look, I found a dish and a spoon that terrorists used. All the supplies were delivered to them through a system of tunnels. The officers that are accompanying us are saying that even today, it's not entirely safe to be here. They say, watch your step carefully, because although the place has been cleared for mines, the number of explosives left here was incredible. There were mines and IEDs of every possible kind. Big and small, concealed, camouflaged to look like a rock, a twig, so it's a big risk. And over there is a trolley, the kind that terrorists used to wheel around rounds of ammo. That's what they used, and there are lots of them here. I see one more ahead of me. Crazy. This could be called a graveyard of burned school buses, without exaggeration. It got so bad that at some point Iraqi's Prime Minister said that the war against the Islamic State in fact qualifies as World War III, because ISIS threatens to spread all over the planet. The United States, United Kingdom, and countries in Europe joined the fight. And so did Australia, a very distant land, and Morocco. Russia joined the war, launching an operation in Syria. In total, over 24 countries supported Iraq, mainly from air, bombing Mosul and other cities practically into the dust, or close enough.
So this is how the old city of Mosul looks. So this is something really unbelievable. I think I never saw anything like that. So because look at this, so almost none of the walls are okay. So there's the stairs hanging, and this is just the rocks. It's unbelievable. The thing is that most of these buildings, they are not just buildings. So these are the churches almost, or at least the buildings which have connection to Christians. And the thing is that the last battle with IS took place right here. So they were covering themselves in these buildings, and the international coalition bombed it from the air, and almost inside here there's everywhere. So look at this place, for example. Also it's about to fall down again, and the thing is that so inside it's not possible to go, because even now there is a risk that there are some mines still uncovered, and the process of recovery is just started.
Just look at these two stunning buildings. These are architectural marvels, no less. As old and significant as pyramids of Giza or the Louvre, now they're all in ruin. I decided to get a view from the rooftop, and it was insane.
So guys, when you head to the roofs of, this is how the old city of Mosul looks from the roof. It's something really unbelievable. I never saw anything in my life. Look at this. It's just the ruins. It's not the city. It's just the ruins. Every house has been bombed at least once, but actually I don't think even there's even one house which had only one strike. Look at this house, for example. Earlier, this was just a normal house, and now there's 1.5 walls, which is just kind of also about to fall down, and something ridiculous. So here's also, there was also a house, and there's just half of it. And when you look at all this, you understand that this place was not.
The man who sells watermelons lived and worked a short walk away from here.
Yes, here.
What was it like? Can you describe some details?
Of course, everything was on fire.
Like there was.
What did he do that day?
We all thought we'll either live or die.
I was thinking like, maybe I will die, maybe
We had no water,
maybe I will die,
no bread.
maybe I will survive, like, no.
Water was like gold for us.
Why didn't he try to escape?
They didn't let us. You have to pay them off for leaving. Those who left earlier got out, while we got stuck here. But if you compare what the city looked like back then and what it looks like now, you'll see a massive difference. 4 years ago, there was not a single rooftop undamaged by the bombings. Today, signs of destruction are everywhere, but many new buildings have been built and more construction projects are underway. Bridges have been rebuilt after the ISIS had blown them up. The city traffic is heavy, and at night the roads look pretty much like in any other city. The kids are going to school again. Here's a wedding parlour that's just reopened. Look, among the ruins. Local street food places are back in business too. It's absolutely delicious. The way they serve grilled meat with flatbread and thick sauce, 10 out of 10. The streets are safe to walk again, as before. It really has become safe to be in many cities' central areas. Here, for example, is Naziraya, and its residents are following the FIFA World Cup. It's well past bedtime, but the streets are full of people. Real crowds here. Look, there is a crowd in every cafe, pizza or doner place. The reason is that tonight is the game night, and Iraq is playing Iran. Of course, it's hard to call Iraq a big football achiever as a footballing nation, but the way they're rooting for the team is unparalleled. Also, tonight, when Iraq stands to actually win for the first time in history, the right to be on the FIFA World Cup roster is up for grabs. They need to tie with Iran to score enough points. This is why the entire country is right now holding its breath and hoping for at least a tie. Let's walk into some of these cafes and see what's going on inside. I worked as a reporter for 2 Olympics, in Brazil and in South Korea, and for the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia. But I've never seen anything like this.
I never thought Iraq is some kind of a football country, and it is not. But the people of Iraq are very supporting their team, and right at the moment there is a game, football game, soccer game, I don't know how to say it properly then, and so they're about to take part in a World Cup. So now there is a game with Iran, and if they win, or at least they have the same scores, they can continue fighting for be part of a World Cup.
Almost everyone has a shisha or a water pipe. Check it out. The local custom is to have it cooled. This simple hack is to cut off the top of a Coke bottle and fill it with ice. There's not a drop of alcohol anywhere. People are so friendly. Iraqis are incredibly friendly and curious about foreigners. Absolutely everyone likes to go on camera. Many ask to shoot them and even to pose for you. Today, many places in Iraq have everything a visitor would want, both in cities and tiny places you'd say are in the middle of nowhere. While Iraq lost the game to Iran, that didn't change the fans' sunny disposition very much. The very fact that the only sounds of explosion they hear now is from fireworks to cheer for their favourite team is a huge victory for the nation.